All right, guys, welcome back. And this time I added a microphone. I had a couple comments that said you couldn't hear me quite as well as you should. And so I added a microphone to help with the clarity of the audio. And in this video, I want to talk about the steps to self-realization that I outline in the book and I talk about in the videos. So this would be a 3-month process to self-realization. So we know Lester Levenson hit self-realization in 3 months. Nisargadatta did it in 3 years. You could do it in days, weeks, months, or years. It depends how much effort, how much time, how much you put into it, really. But generally, years or months. I do an advanced program where you could do it in 3 months. But I also added a preparatory 1 month before the 3 months starts to make sure you develop and cultivate the loving qualities, the 4 Brahma Viharas of loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy, equanimity. That's absolutely paramount to develop for self-realization. And just in general, we all need that. The world needs that. The world needs more compassion, needs more loving kindness, needs more empathetic joy. Empathetic joy or appreciative joy is taking joy in other people's success, the opposite of envy. I know one of the 7 deadly sins, I was going over the book, editing it, and I went over the 7 deadly sins, and one of those is envy. So that would be the opposite of empathetic joy. And so, yeah, we want to develop those qualities for 1 month. So I have a whole plan in the book. It's going to be a 4-month plan, 1 month preparatory exercises to develop and cultivate those loving qualities, and then 3 months of the regular self-realization exercises protocol that I go over in the videos, the original earlier videos. And so it's all going to be in the book. It comes out. I'm actually in the final editing process now. I actually found one period, a space in one period I had to fix, and there's a bunch of maybe a space here or a space there, trying to make it as good as possible. Especially it's my first published book, and it will be a little over 400 pages. The size will be about 6 by 9. And yeah, it's a good sized book. So we're going to go over those step by step right now, those steps that I outlined. Like I said, you develop those loving qualities in month 1 as much as you can. Do whatever you can to develop kindness, compassion, humility, everything you can. Serve others, help others. Focus so much on as much as you can on developing love. This is absolutely vital, absolutely paramount. This is one thing that neurofeedback does not do, is help you develop those qualities. At least in a more obvious manner. I mean, I guess the forgiveness process does, in a way, help you do that, as well as a couple other things, but ultimately the focus isn't on that when it should be more. That's why I can't recommend it, especially with the experience that I had the previous time. With what I saw was a lot of unethical, a lot of issues. So they developed brain waves to be able to influence others, and it appears that they're using this to improve their business model, and highly influenced by what appears to be greed. So I can't recommend that. At least that's one center. There are other places for it, but it's actually not needed. Every process, every method I outline in the book is actually more effective than neurofeedback, any technology, even any psychedelic, because you're going at the pace of the ego dissolution. You're going at a steady pace. What they talk about with a days or a week or a few days, whatever it is, that you could become enlightened. It's actually according to brainwave patterns, which actually enlightenment or self-realization is outside of brainwave patterns. Brainwaves come and go. Anything that comes and goes, the body, this world, is not the self. So the self is the only thing that doesn't come and go. And once you abide or you're aware of that presence, regardless of any brainwave, I just use it as a focal point in the book to help illustrate some experiences that people have, including myself. You can have enlightenment experiences through the facilitation of brainwave manipulation, but you can't have true self-realization until you abide in that state, until your mind is still, until you know you're the awareness and not the mind or the emotions or the body. So that's a little caveat on neurofeedback. I don't recommend it personally, but if you want to do that, then make sure you know the knowledge of the self and that you're using it to accelerate or facilitate self-realization and not for greed or manifestation or anything like that, like wanting. Wanting's an obvious sign of the ego. The ego always wants. The ego thinks, the mind, the ego, it thinks that when it gets something that it's happy, that's happiness, but that's actually a trap. It's false happiness. It's impermanent. Only self-realization will bring permanent, everlasting peace, tranquility, equanimity, joy, bliss beyond bliss. And so that's enough of that tangent. Let's get back to the methods. So the 3 methods that I outline in the book, and I've went over those in the earlier videos quite substantially, are the forgiveness process, the letting go or release technique, and then self-inquiry. So for the method for the program that I outline in the book, I have 1 month preparation, 1 month focused on forgiveness, a little bit of the release technique or letting go, a little bit of self-inquiry. For month 2, I have less focus on forgiveness, a little bit more focus on letting go, release technique, and a moderate amount of focus or a little bit of focus on self-inquiry. And then by the 3rd month, your brain should be adapted to let things go, release things, and not grasp onto things. And by the 3rd month, you train your mind or your awareness to just observe and do not attach, do not cling, and also do not push away. Clinging or pushing away, aversion or desire. That's, I'm trying to look at the video and explain this. It's a little tricky sometimes. So aversion and desire are 2 sides of the same coin. You want to be like a pendulum, like in the middle of a teeter-totter. Let's say a teeter-totter like goes like this, right? This is desire, this is aversion. You want to be right in the middle, so there's nothing. That's the best spot. It's like a pendulum where you aversion, desire, aversion, desire. You want right here in the middle where it's still, the stillness in between aversion and in between a desire. And so that is, yeah, that's the process that I outline. And it's highly likely, I mean, of course, there'll be exceptions to every rule, but this is highly likely that for the majority of the population, this will bring self-realization. There's not a doubt in my mind that this is amazing steps towards the realization of the self. The issue is most people's ego or mind is so cemented over the self that the mind will convince people that they're already self-realized, they're already enlightened, they're already this, they're already that, and that's the mind telling them, when ultimately mindlessness is the self, when there is no mind. And all the conceptualizations, all the talking of the self never adequately describes the self in its truest, purest form. Only the experience of the self can one adequately understand without understanding, understand without the mind. And so those excuse me, those are the steps. I just did the sauna, so my mouth is a little dry. I should probably drink water. Those are the steps that I outline and the methods that I outline in the book for self-realization. And by the end of those 3 to 4 months, remember I added the month if you need to go cultivate that love, that kindness, that empathy. And you know, I think everyone should anyway, even if you do have a big heart, if your heart is already open and you do feel a lot of love, it's good just in case. And so once you do that, then you focus on forgiveness for the first month, less letting go, release technique, a little less self-inquiry for the second month. Then you focus primarily on the release technique, a little less on forgiveness, a little less the same with self-inquiry. And then by the third month, your focus is self-inquiry. And so by that end of that third or fourth month, however you want to look at it, you should be so well realized in the sense that you should be world and bounds above or beyond where you were once you started. I mean, ultimately, self-realization, you don't go anywhere. Everything, you just drop everything. You drop all the programs, you drop all the beliefs, you drop all the patterns, and what is underneath all the emptiness and all this is the self. I mean, the self is the emptiness that is you underneath all those programs and beliefs and all that. And so you don't really go anywhere, or you're not really enlightened. You just realize what you've always been. You've always been the self, and you've never not been the self. And that's really it. There's not much to say after that. There's a quick rundown. Oh, a quick thing before I forget. I'll be at Puerto Vallarta for the Anarchapulco in February 17th through 20th. I'll be there. Come down, hang out, and yeah, let's talk about self-realization. Let's talk about anything and everything. We'll have some fun. Drink some water. Definitely not no alcohol or sugary substances. Maybe do some fasting, some sleep deprivation. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we'll have some fun. Hang out, network, meet some people, and yeah, that's it. All right, thank you. Have a wonderful day, and don't forget, realize the self like your life depended on it, because it does.